for me to go 0-6.
Yeah, that's rough.
How did you guys not go for this Projaščić guy when I talked him up for months? I've been talking this guy up for months.
I don't like him.
And we are live.
I
turned it on a couple of seconds ago.
Oh.
Just to get that natural. Just to get that natural, you know.
And we're all like scrambling around for our headsets.
It's more,
Let's get our
it's
headsets
more
on.
fun that way.
You dick.
Nobody's ready for it. Everybody's talking about God knows what.
I was picking my nose. Not cool.
That's staying.
This is the human side of you that people don't get to see.
Whack.
So this is Velocity Mixed Martial Arts. Before the main show every week, we come together with a guest in the mixed martial arts world and kind of just talk about what happened last week in the fights, kind of talk about what's happening in the news, if anything big is happening, and then we make predictions for next week. And of course, we interrogate our guest, who is this week Josh Rave, veteran in the mixed martial arts, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu community.
Well, hello, everybody.
That was deep.
You like that?
You like that?
Hello.
From now on, you're only allowed to talk like that.
Is he the narrator for 50 Shades of Grey?
Right.
Is he the...
And of course, Tanner Else.
8.
And the Matador, Michael Otamende.
Where's your nickname?
He's the only...
Thug Nasty.
I thought it was Thunder Cookie. No, Thunder Cookie or something.
Thug Nizzle for Shizzle.
Your nickname is so ridiculous and like not yours that it's the only one I'm going to introduce.
Matador.
The
Thanks.
Matador.
That was actually my nickname.
You're our favorite white Mexican, we promise.
So how's everybody doing this week?
Really good.
Really good.
It's beautiful outside. Can't
It's
complain.
gorgeous. And last weekend was like 90.
Right.
Yeah.
It needs to be like that again soon.
Me and Tyson went to the park 3 times, and it was like 86 degrees, and I was like, kid, you're going to die. Like, you need to drink some water, you need to go home and eat. Quit.
So, some news I heard just yesterday that I figured you guys would be talking about. So, I'm sure you heard Mr. McGregor sold Proper 12.
Yep.
Did for 600
600 million.
Yeah.
Man, I bet that hurts.
Yeah.
Wow.
That hurts.
You know what sucks though is there's still going to be a sponsor of the UFC, and like he's still going to see it like on the cage behind him, but he gets nothing from it anymore.
Yeah.
You think nothing?
Oh no,
or do you think
I'm sure they're gonna throw him a
some,
pay. They're
Some
probably
sort
gonna
of
throw him.
percentage.
Yeah.
Well, you got to like he probably sold his stake in it, but they probably still sponsor.
No, they'll
because he's still on all their
they'll
commercials.
pay him as an employee, but he won't be an owner.
There
Like
you
he'll
go.
just be a normal
That makes
employee.
more sense then.
Yeah.
Just like if you were a model for an
Yeah.
underwear company, which
Yeah.
you
Which
are.
I am.
Which you are.
Paid spokesperson, right?
Yeah.
Might as well.
Fruit of the Loom, shout out.
Fruit of the Loom. Yeah. No, that is big news.
That is pretty crazy.
Also, in other crazy news that happened yesterday or like later last night, Diaz pulled out of his fight with Leon Edwards.
But
saw
So
that.
the
rescheduled it
Yeah.
for June. Yeah.
Honestly, I would. It's just such a mismatch, and I love Nate Diaz, but it's a mismatch.
I just after the Diaz McGregor stuff, everybody's like, dude, Diaz is like the best ever. And I'm like, no, he's still kind of like a journeyman. Like,
Yeah,
you think
he's
about
kind
it.
of. He's a journeyman who could beat the best on any given day and then lose to a nobody next week.
Yeah.
You know.
If you don't hit him in the right spot, he can finish you.
Yeah.
And when you don't give him credit is when he slaps a shit.
Yeah.
Like, wait, where did that come from?
Right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna grab him. He's like, okay, that's fine.
I don't just like his slaps. I like that he slaps, and when the slap lands, he points and goes, I got you.
He's a journeyman right now in the fact that, like, could you ever see him beating Usman and getting the title? Probably not.
No.
Right.
I could see his brother possibly beating Usman, but I don't see him.
There was a time when Nate Diaz was like the best 170-pounder on the planet.
I've always liked Nick.
Besides,
Nick's always been my favorite brother.
Right.
But he's always in trouble.
yeah.
Well, and his suspension's been up for a while now.
He looks good though.
When you're only young for so long.
Yeah.
Let me just
Yeah.
say that right now. I'm 38 years old and I don't feel like I'm old, but I'm not 28. I'm not 25. It's a lot of those things where you might not have nearly the as sharp of tools, but you're sharper. You have to believe you're the baddest man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe. People will say that there's there are a lot of people that say that there's a lot of narcissism and there's a lot of disorders but you have to believe that you're going to win. You have to believe that. Oh, he's cocky. If he didn't believe he was going to win, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Straight up. If you walking into the ring, if I believe that guy's going to beat me,
He's
going
already
to
has.
beat me. It's going to happen.
Since I've been fighting, ever since I started, people were like, "Do you think you could beat this guy or this guy?" And they would just like name off people. What about this guy? And I'm like, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I could beat everybody in this room. Like everybody, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't think I was the best, there's no reason for me to do it.
Why go into something knowing you're going to be a journeyman or lower?
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not scared of anybody.
I'm not scared. Is that Darren Till or
Darren Till?
I was going to say that was my point about Ben Askren that I was telling you guys the week before the fight. I listened to everything leading up to it because I love circuses. I don't care. It's a circus and I love it.
I will not watch the next one. I won't do it.
As he has it on his side screen here.
He won't watch it, but he's gonna keep refreshing. Like,
Yeah, he's gonna keep
give me the
going through it.
results.
So he's fighting his maid.
So I listened to everything, and everything Ben Askren said was, he's like, I don't really care if I win or lose. He said that like 10 times. He's like, my life won't change if I lose. I'll just get my paycheck and go home.
Right.
He kept saying, he's like, yeah, I might lose if Jake... He said over and over, if Jake Paul's a really good boxer, I'll probably lose. And I'm like, Ben Askren's going to lose, because his whole
right.
mental mindset was that he was going to lose that fight.
Right.
Like, everything he said was like, I'm probably going to lose.
And actually, he has a lot of podcasts talking about the mental game in martial arts and in wrestling and everything like that. And it's 100% different when he thinks about a grappling scenario or a scenario other than where he's only throwing his hands. Yeah. Because he is that confident in every other aspect of it. That
so he lost his confidence in boxing.
He knows that his hands on his feet are not where he's at. He didn't win any of his MMA fights that way. Not a single one. Not even kind of close.
He's 0 for 3 in spinning back fist too.
Yeah, he knows this.
Didn't somebody say he only landed like 20 punches on his feet in his whole entire career?
Probably.
That's actually that's a high number actually.
That's a high number.
And that's exactly my point. He knows what he's good at.
Yeah.
100% he knows it.
Oh, yeah.
And he knew that going into a competition where
I've been saying this, dude. But the Paul brothers have put millions of dollars into their boxing camps. They bring in the best people in the world to spar them, the best people to train them. They commit to their camps. They go seclude themselves up in the mountains of Colorado.
It's disgusting that he's fought nobody.
It's
all
well
making
good.
Too much
it's
money.
terrible, but it's like if you're fighting nobodies and you commit like a whole year up in Colorado with some of the best trainers in the world, you're probably going to be a decent boxer when you come out.
Yeah.
Like,
probably.
I just want him to put it to the test. I want him to box somebody
well,
that can box.
Ben Askren was actually the best call out he could have done. Ben Askren, a legitimate fighter who doesn't know how to box. That was the best call out you could do.
It's still stupid. It's
still
still.
I mean, he's still not a boxer.
It's still like a professional wrestling show
Damian Maya.
instead of an actual fight. See, in this is where I like old pride. I like the heart of it and the honor that it kind of used to be, that it doesn't seem like it is anymore. To be honest, I have a hard time. with it because it's turning into more of a circus than it needs to be. And I know that people like that and they pay for it, but man, as a purist, it hurts my soul.
I have a. Oh, go ahead.
There's like a scale. Like there's the nobodies that he's fighting, but they're people with a big name and they're going to be a big money draw. But then there's the guys up here that are like 48-2 that are world champions, and you can't fight those guys.
Yeah. Right.
You can't do that.
And
but if you put him against somebody in the middle, who doesn't have a name,
well,
it's a good fight, but there's no money in it.
And he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
See, I have a weird relationship with circuses because I actually like them, but I think there's a different... I don't view it like I'm viewing an actual boxing match. I'm viewing it as like a WWE. Like, it's different. It's in its own area. It's like if Donald Trump were to go box, I don't know, like Putin. It's like you would probably...
Putin would kick his ass.
Yeah, no.
Even though he'd like to think he'd beat him up. He's like,
would.
I'm like a foot taller than you, I'd beat you up. No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
He thought he'd throw Dan Gable too.
But what I was gonna say was you'd probably pay to watch. You'd probably pay to watch that, right? Even though it's a circus.
Sure.
But you just have to separate it as a purist. You have to be like, this isn't the sport.
Yeah.
It's something completely different.
You're
you know.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
even though I'm not a boxer, I don't know if you've ever boxed, but
a little bit.
A little.
Punch a couple people.
mostly flying knees.
I don't mean to
mostly flying.
brag a little bit.
I don't think that's in the Queensberry rules. I don't think flying knees are allowed.
They should be.
They should be.
Should be.
That's funny.
All right. Do you want to dive into your first question and we'll just kind of go around because I know did you have some too?
Yeah. Do we want to go over last week's card first?
We can do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess that is next on the docket.
I don't want to because I did so terrible.
Yeah. You guys kind of want to start giving your thoughts on the card, and I'll
Okay, well, first of all, already candidate for one of the knockouts of the year, in my opinion. The spinning back elbow.
That was nasty. It was disgusting, and it made me want to cry.
It made me want to cry.
I love Dominic Reyes, but like 2 devastating knockout losses in a row like that are not good.
Well, now what do we think for the title? Because we know Glover Teixeira's next, right?
Glover Teixeira's probably going to get beat.
Probably going to get beat. And then it has to be this Prochaska guy. Prochaska?
Yeah.
However you say his name.
He's young, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's pretty young.
Super young.
And he's on an insane win streak. I think they said 12 or 13 fight win streak.
But it's crazy, too, that he's only had 2 fights in the UFC, and his first one was a Volkan Ozdemir, and his second one was Dominic Reyes. Like,
but
it's crazy to jump to a title like that.
Well, they jumped. Those are 2 title contenders he fought right off.
Yeah,
that's a very valid point. Yeah, if you show up and they give you
2 title contenders,
the guys to fight, and you knock them out, well.
Now you're the title contender.
Right. Look at how Anthony Smith did. Just blew up in a hurry. Or Houston Alexander.
He was considered a journeyman for a long time, too. Like, people were like, because I think it was when he finally went up to 205 is when Anthony Smith started really just killing people.
It actually was.
At 185, he was good, but he was kind of a journeyman at 185. Kind of. At 205, he started killing everybody.
He was just faster than everybody, yeah.
He killed himself trying to cut weight. All the time.
He's huge.
He's 6'4", making 185. That being that big, dude.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, he's super skinny. I mean, even looking at him now, he doesn't look like he carries extra weight by any means whatsoever.
This is a dumb question, but did he wrestle in? Because you wrestled at Nebraska, right?
In college, I graduated high school here in Sioux Falls.
Okay. Did he wrestle at all in Anthony Smith?
I don't know that he wrestled, but he's been doing jiu-jitsu because
I must be thinking of somebody else.
How long was he at Premier Combat Center?
Well, as long as I've known him, up until Premier wasn't Premier anymore.
Yeah.
But honestly, he didn't do well. I don't think he did a lot of sports in high school. You know what I mean?
He was good at competition.
So he's a late bloomer.
Yeah, 100%.
100%, yeah.
Because we had talked to, I think it might have been Kyle Lundy that was saying, like, in competition grappling, he was notorious for triangles. Like, he would go into, like, Naga tournaments and triangle everybody.
Well, he's just so long.
He just did to Devin Clark.
His legs are 100 miles long. You know what I mean? He can...
That's like Bruce with his triangles. Bruce's legs are longer than Daddy long.
That and Bruce has monkey strength.
Monkey strength? Monkey old man strength.
You kind of have it, too, but, I mean... You have 125 monkey strength. He has heavyweight monkey strength.
Right. He just doubles me in size.
I don't know. Is he a heavyweight, Bruce?
Well, he used to be like 220, but I feel like he's lost a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is.
Because he looks skinny, but he's so tall.
That's just it. His legs are this big around, too.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
He doesn't look that big, but he's got a lot of base on him.
I know. Yeah. He's scary.
He's scary, dude. Next point.
Oh, go ahead.
The Giga Kick.
I was going to say, the Giga Kick.
The Giga Kick.
The chickadee. Okay, how are you guys going for Cub Swanson? You guys knew what was going to happen.
I knew what was going to happen, but I love Cub Swanson.
Because he's one of the most entertaining fighters of all time.
His fight with Du Ho Choi was one of the best fights I've ever seen.
He is, but I think he's on his way out.
Yeah.
Don't you dare say
that. You can only get hit so much.
He's on his way out of main cards. He'll still be in the UFC for a while. He'll probably be on undercards.
I hope so.
How many guys have won more Fight of the Night awards?
Yeah.
Cub Swanson.
Yeah.
And I bet you that if you were to go back into his history, even before he fought in the UFC, if you were to say out of every smaller show that he fought in, how many if you would have given out a Fight of the Night award, how many times would people probably have said, "Oh, Cub Swanson is the guy to watch"?
He's been nominated 3 times for Fight of the Year too. Fight of the Year.
Fight of the Year. That's what I mean.
Let's not forget, even in his older age, he knocked out Kron Gracie, who was like the big hype guy, undefeated Kron Gracie, and then he went in there and Cub Swanson was like, "There's levels to this," and I'm like,
a Gracie in the UFC sounds like a hype train to me.
Yeah, I mean, no, Kron was good. I mean,
until
he ran into Cub Swanson.
But you know what? On a different day, he punches hard enough, and he normally has the tools. It just sometimes when you show up in the ring that day, it's a crazy
sometimes
day.
you get liver kicked and you lose.
I don't want to jump too hard on the chickadee's however you say his name, Chickadee's hype train, because you know that if you put him up against a stout wrestler, like, I don't think he wins.
Well, that's the thing, though, is the people in the top of the division right now aren't all wrestlers. They're all strikers, because you got Max Holloway and you got Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah, but Max is still a grappler. I'm fairly certain a black belt.
But when he first came, like, he wasn't a
Jiu-jitsu.
good grappler when he first got to the UFC, because, like, his first fight, he got triangle armbarred by Dustin Poirier.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well, put TJ Dillashaw, who's a weight class below him, up against him, and TJ just takes him down and destroys him, probably.
Yeah.
I think that's a weight class below. Let me think.
It is.
Yeah.
TJ's 135.
Yeah. Cutelaba, though, with I think that was a decision victory. Pretty brutal.
It wasn't.
That was a
It
draw.
was a draw.
Oh, that's right.
It was a split
Real
draw.
quick,
Yeah.
That's
just,
right.
Just real quick
Oh,
to
go ahead.
interrupt. Michael wins this week with 9 points.
Yes.
What did I have and what did Tubby have? So
You had 1.
Oh, good.
I didn't count Tubby's because I was just trying to move quick.
Just
Okay.
Tubbs,
He's
you
not
know.
here.
I'm going to tell him
Cry?
because we have like the same picks all night.
And
so.
I had 5.
Hey, that's not bad.
That's
Worst.
including my free point from winning.
It's because you had
last
to go for your Strickland. Oh, wait.
No, I went for.
Oh, no,
Christoph.
Strickland won. Didn't
Yeah,
year. Yeah, Strickland won.
I went
Oh,
for
yeah.
Christoph.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Or did you go with Cody Stamen?
He went with.
Cody Stamen also.
Yeah.
Wasn't a good night for you.
It's not a good night for me, dude. Where did I get a point from, dude? I went 0 for 6 on the main card.
Where did you get a point?
I was gonna say-
I gave us all a point for the draw.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a point for the draw. Great.
Yeah, we don't
Wonderful,
we don't really have a point system for draws, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Was it a majority draw or were all
It was a split draw.
split draw?
Yeah, it was 29-28 one, 29-28 the other, and then 28-28 for one of the judges because they had the first round as a 10-8.
Somebody explain to me the difference between majority draw and split draw.
Yeah, I need help with that one too. 'cause
So
that's kinda weird.
a majority would mean that. So you got 3 judges,
Yeah.
2 of them for one the other. Now a split draw would mean that somebody either gave one of the rounds even, or somebody got a knockdown or lost a point for whatever reason, and so one of the judges has it even. The other 2, one is one and one's the other one.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's,
split
that's,
draw.
what we, that's what we have for
okay.
this one. That's what we have for
Yeah.
this one.
So this was, but majority draw is 2 of the 3 judges at least had a draw.
Yes.
And then, okay.
Yep.
That makes
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the way it was is somebody scored at a 10-8 round for Cutelaba in the first round.
There
and
you
then
go.
and then the other 2 judges had a 10-9, and then they flopped on the second and third round. Basically.
Right.
Which still whack.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not happy.
Cutelaba is one of the more intense, like, entertaining fighters.
Dana White said that he's no longer going to allow him to do like stare downs without people standing in between him.
Oh yeah, because they got in like
yeah,
a fight.
because like instead of
he grabbed him.
instead of pushing him, he just like grabbed the back of his neck and pulled him towards him.
Oh yeah, so technically he didn't strike him, so it's like
That's how I kiss.
that's how he gets. He just kisses him.
Yeah.
He just kiss.
Grabbed a hold of him.
Funny.
That's what I was thinking too. Is I'm like in my head, like I get it when you shove somebody. That's one thing I've seen that happen at boxing weigh-ins for years. But when you grab somebody and pull them towards you, like what are you trying to accomplish here? Like if it's me, I'm
It's
gonna
just a-
uppercut you in the stomach. You pull me towards you. Like that.
Well, that's kind of the whole. You're just trying to create hype. It's
Well,
100%. It's nothing other.
It
than
worked because I was hyped for that.
Sorry, I was supposed to have Twitch up this whole time.
No, you're fine.
I've been slacking.
You have been slacking. Grow up.
Grow up. There we go. Now we can see our pretty faces. There was one other talking point I had. What was it?
Well, you want to talk about weight cutting because you're a girl, but
Well, I'll leave that for the questions of if he has any weight cutting stories.
I think that was about it for the main card.
Well, I
There
was
a
gonna
lot
say
of other stuff.
really quick talking point. How do you guys think Clarissa Shields gonna do from boxing to MMA? I think we did talk about this another.
I watched her training with I can't remember. I want to say it was who's the guy that is King's MMA. He used to do shoot box. He was the shoot box. Rafael Cordero.
Okay.
Oh,
I saw a video of him hitting Pasler, and he was showing her some kicks and stuff, and I was like, you're not Holly Holm. You should probably
here's
stick to your hands for
she's
a while.
probably. But here's the thing. No offense to the females of PFL, but I've seen some of them. They're not that impressive.
Well, and
I
really,
think she runs through some.
You
of
look
them.
at the tournament, and it's like 12 and 14,
Yeah.
6 and 7, and I'm like, these
But
guys are
they
getting-
all have they all have negative records or worse. And worse, you can't get worse.
Well,
than
it's because
that.
I don't know that they've really built up their divisions yet. I feel like Invicta has way better fighters than PFL for females, anyway.
That's why I think Clarissa Shield is in the right division because I think in the PFL she can run through it.
Well, and coming from a traditional boxing background, she is going to have worked her hands a lot better. And
She's
as
probably a
far
better
as
athlete than a
females-
lot of them.
Yeah, as far as females go, that really gives her a big advantage to landing significant strikes.
Yeah.
You know.
So you think she goes like maybe 4-0 in PFL or 4-1, and then Dana White gives her a call maybe?
He's gonna have to. I mean,
but then if she comes to the UFC,
if you look at the UFC, the girls in their like respective weight classes basically cleared out their divisions where she's at 135 or 145. Those divisions.
That's
Amanda Nunes and just
Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah,
that's a big problem. 115 is the only interesting weight class right now. In women's division.
So basically, if she wins like 2 or 3 fights in a row and her contract's up, Dana White's gonna grab her just because she's the biggest draw that they can have for Amanda Nunes or Shevchenko.
Right now, if you are a female fighter and you raise your hand, you're gonna be put in a title fight. That's all it takes. You just have to be like, you just have to raise your hand and say,
which is again, it's hard to respect it when
well, you respect Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko.
Absolutely,
they cleared everybody.
Absolutely, and that's where, like I said, what I feel like the UFC is not doing a good job at creating that same type of dynamic that the sport of boxing has. How many guys are in there that have to get wins, and there's a whole system about it, you know. And I wanted that to be the case in MMA, and I almost feel like it used to be. And then
you mean where they build up the fighters more?
Yeah. Guys would go to amateur shows, and they would work their way into amateur title positions, and then they'd work their way up to these bigger shows, and now it seems like a few guys go out, they get a few fights, and they feel like everybody wants to get catapulted up to the top. Instead of doing their due diligence, and there's a million gyms and a million shows and a million names, and everybody goes out there, and it's I don't know.
See, that was actually what my talking point was that I forgot about. I think there's a middle ground between what boxing does and what MMA does, because what boxing does is they'll do tune-up fights, and they will literally call them tune-up fights where they put like Floyd Mayweather against a guy who's 12-15.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we all know what this is. He's just gonna go pad his record.
Right.
I don't necessarily have an issue with that because technically it's a win-win.
Yeah.
The guy who's 12-15, he's like, yeah, this is my biggest payday ever, and I might get to knock out Floyd Mayweather.
Gotta punch his chance.
Yeah, you gotta punch his chance. So it's actually a win-win because Floyd's like, yeah, I'll take an easy win, and then the other guy's like, yeah, I'll take a huge paycheck.
Right.
So I don't mind that aspect. I do mind waiting forever to put the two best people up against each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like why hasn't Spence and Crawford fought yet? Or why did Floyd and Pacquiao never fight?
Floyd and Pacquiao like 6 years to get that fight going.
Yeah.
Well, Pacquiao had got knocked out in between that time.
Well, and Floyd had his own, has his own show, so he's got his own.
But even the heavyweights, Tyson and
Joshua still haven't fought.
But even Tyson and Deontay, it took them forever to fight.
And it's that politics because of who owns the show. It's who owns what and who's padding whose pockets, and if they're not padding them the right way, then they don't do it, and that's 100% it. It's so political, it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's why I like the UFC because you're gonna know very quickly who the best fighter is. There's like. In boxing, there is kind of a question, like, who's the best fighter? But in MMA, you just know. It's Amanda Nunes. You know, there's no question.
There is no question.
Some weight classes are a little bit muddy, but...
Yeah.
So, I guess I was going to talk about, like, the politics. So, you say you like some things that boxing brings, but you kind of dislike some other things,
Well, yes, I do. Obviously, the way that the rules are much more open in mixed martial arts compared to boxing is just so narrow on your attack zone. It's kind of why I prefer mixed martial arts over taekwondo. Similar. Even then, wrestling, I'm a wrestler at heart. But when it comes to fighting, wrestling's only one aspect of it. And it's similar. I'd put boxing in like with wrestling or taekwondo. It's part of it. It's not all of it.
Yeah. People don't consider wrestlers martial artists, but we have to remember that they actually are. It's not a traditional martial art.
You look at all the champions, like some of the like most of the champions used to be wrestlers. Like there was a time period where from 155 all the way to heavyweight, all of them were collegiate wrestlers at one point. And it's not that case right now, but all these champions have worked their takedown defense enough to where they can beat wrestlers.
It's just weird, though, because when I say, I'm going to bring you to a martial arts gym, they're like, oh, let's go to a taekwondo or karate class, and I bring them into, like, a high school wrestling meet. And I'm like, hey, look at all these, like, this is a martial arts meet. But it is a martial arts meet. It's just not, people don't traditionally think of it as a martial art.
Not unless they have a Krav Maga class with a guy named Boris.
Some neckbeard guy.
Neckbeard guy named Boris teaching Krav Maga. It's not real.
So with like kind of starting in wrestling, was there like a moment where it kind of switched like into jiu-jitsu, or was that just always kind of
I guess
like, was there a moment where you were like, oh man, this dude's doing some funky stuff with his body, I want to learn how to do this?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I wrestling is more of a bashing kind of art, I guess. It was,
I've never heard that word, but that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make sure I'm in the right spot to be doing that, and I'm not receiving it, and that was kind of the whole point. But when I was grappling guys, and I would get caught into situations I couldn't get myself out of, or I would try to finish guys with chokes and such, and I couldn't finish it. I realized that there was a different type of technique, because with wrestling and the way that the rules are in America, everybody needs to be safe, and there's that potentially dangerous is all everywhere, and so all the things they didn't want me to do were the things I was supposed to be doing in jiu-jitsu. I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. So if I just say screw you referee and all the things they didn't want me to do, that's the I think, all right, I got this.
I remember my first jiu-jitsu tournament, and I was like, oh man, I really want to slam this dude. And they're like, you can. And I was like, I used to get throwing penalties in high school. Like, I could actually do this? Dude, I won a match in overtime by picking some dude up and slamming him. And I slammed him so hard, and then like I heard the whistle, and I was like, oh, I thought I was in trouble. I won? We're good. All right.
Jiu-jitsu mats are not wrestling mats.
Oh, no.
They are
They certainly are not.
I like the rules of jiu-jitsu way more. You know, in wrestling, you have to get a limb in with the neck, and you have to, like, there's all these rules, and I'm like, I like the rules, and because we wrestled too in high school, me and Tanner, and like we loved it, but then jiu-jitsu is just so much more open-ended.
Did they ever rule against double chicken wings when you were in high school?
No, I could double chicken.
Yeah, they had one when I was in high school.
Oh, maybe we did.
And it was like, you can't do it because it can cause like injury to people's shoulders and like their necks. And I was like,
ain't that the point?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a combat sport.
They'll verbally tap.
Chicken wings.
They'll verbally tap. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, they can't really tap out.
I definitely did. I actually even made up a way to finish it a little bit different.
I bet you did.
So when I'd get the double chicken wing, I'd get there, and then I'd actually like sit up on them and pull their arms beside me, and then I'd cross one leg over and roll over, so then their arms were between my legs, and then their back was arched over top of my legs, and so I could like sit there and look at them when I held on to them.
Just start talking.
I could get eye contact.
I think that just rolls right into question number 4.
It does. Question number 4. Jump into it, Kyle.
Who hurt you as a kid to make you want to like drill your elbow into people's bodies and rib cages?
So I don't know if everybody listening kind of understands our relationship, but these guys trained with me for a little bit, and I'm not very large.
Trained or was abused by?
Abused by. I'm about a 145-pound full-grown man. That's as heavy as I've ever been. And wrestling is way meaner than people give it credit for. They don't understand how hard it is. Because like you said, people don't consider it a combat sport, and it is all of that. Wrestling in high school, I went 150-15. I only lost 3 matches after I weighed 100 pounds, and it was a lot of it because I was meaner than my opponents. I didn't feel that they could hurt me, and that everything that I was going to do, I was going to try to make it as painful as I possibly could.
I wonder how many noses you broke with cross faces.
I don't know, but our good friend Jordan Larson will say he took a shot on me, and I just put my hand down to stop him, and I straight palm struck him and broke his nose in practice.
It does break you out.
I did.
Did your wrestling coach ever pull you aside and be like, I think MMA's for you?
No, not necessarily. Did
you have Murrin?
Yeah, I did.
I love Murrin so much. Yeah, he would never pull you aside and say that.
No, well, and it wasn't a thing. It didn't exist.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
when I got out of college, I mean, I was young, and I just got done wrestling Division I, and that's right when they started having the shows here in Sioux Falls. I even fought with 14-ounce gloves on, and I could only hit them in the head padded, but I could wrap my hands and I could shed the gloves and I could take them down and I could hit them in the body. with wrapped hands. But then I couldn't punch him in the face anymore. But then I could do all the other grappling moves.
Combat sambo or something.
Yeah. Or I could knee them in the body. So I'd throw my 1, 2.
Who made these rules? Did a 12-year-old make these rules?
No, I swear this
was this Tri-State?
No.
Okay,
no.
I was gonna say Tri-State was bad.
And this was even in the Holiday Inn, and there was straight up mats on the ground, and there were chairs around it. And I remember the refs would be like trying to get in between us and
my dad brought me to one of those shows when I was a kid, dude.
Yeah. So I would throw my shots and I'd take them down and I'd shed the gloves and I'd just start throwing knees to the body. That was my goal. I'm gonna knee you until we stop. That's all I know. That's what's gonna happen.
That's gonna kind of lead me into one of my questions that I had for you. And it's like, what's one of your favorite memories from a local, like, really small show?
Well, actually, I won a tournament. I won a 155-pound tournament. I weighed about 122 pounds. And
you want to talk to him about cutting weight?
Yeah. You have no weight cutting stories for me.
He weighs in with a bag of cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
We could knee the head of a ground opponent.
Oh. That was a thing back in the day, I think.
So I fought a guy. Oh God, and we had just a war. And we ended up going 3 rounds, and they're like, "We don't even know. We can't give the decision. Let's go another round." And I'm like, "Oh my God, let's go!" and he ended up breaking his hand, on my head. And he was huge. Oh God, and he landed knees to my head. I ended up puking. I was so sick. I was like, I can't continue.
Sound very concussed.
I don't even know. Oh, I was definitely concussed. I'm like, I'm done. I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, well, here's the deal. Your opponent broke his hand, or he got injured, and so you have an extra round. It was supposed to be an 8-man tournament. I was gonna have 3 fights in one night. I'm like, no. After the first, no. The first one was good. You guys got me. Well, you're in the finals, so just take your time. And I got up and I'm moving, and I look over and he still is sick, and I'm like, all right, so maybe this will be worth it. Yeah. You know, like I got $500 and a belt. Okay, fine, let's go. And so I ended up just going at him like crazy, and ended up winning in the second round, and it was pretty awesome. I can't. You say favorite? I don't know. There's actually quite
so
a few
many.
of them.
We talked about this on an early show. We kind of are in the old Western days of MMA just ended.
The Wild West of MMA, and because that's when I was
I feel
forging my mom's signature to fight when I was 17, and
I feel like that just ended though.
Yeah. It's now that we have a commission.
I have a VHS tape. Okay, with one of
what are you, a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, I think it was my 3rd fight that I ever fought with small gloves on, and I was fighting a native gentleman that had boxed pro, and he weighed about 160 pounds, and again I was a $122, and it was just a bloody.
It's like, depending on the year this was, I feel like it was Carlos Claudius.
No. Jerry and Crispin was the guy's name, and it was just a bloody mess, because again I could knee him in the face on the ground. And so I know he's a boxer, so I came out and I took him down, and I started throwing knees and elbows, and oh God, it was just a crazy war, and I won, and that was actually the point where I was like, you know what, maybe I want to do this, you know, because I was kind of doing it locally. I'm like, maybe I should try to like branch out a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome.
It is kind of sad that the Wild West days of MMA are kind of over.
Yeah,
because we have stories like I
blood work and eye exams and physicals. What is this? I used to just sign up.
He has a story where he was just like, you're just drunk, and they're like, we need another fighter.
I was sitting with the promoter drinking yak bombs.
And I have my story where I fought in Sturgis, and a drunk biker walked in the cage, and I just fought him. It's like, but you can't do that anymore,
right?
You know, because there's a commission.
It's safe, right. And that's cool that it's safe.
That's fine.
But I'd be lying if I said I didn't fucking miss it.
Yeah, I just
safety.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I definitely, again...
Throwing up right before the fight, going in without even having my hands wrapped. The guy at the cage didn't even have any Vaseline to put on my face.
None of it.
There's no sports physical at all.
Are there EMTs? No, we'll call 911 if you want.
Just go.
Yeah.
Those days.
I actually posted a picture where I was talking about how I missed competing, and somebody had commented about how I fought a guy. So there was a different evening where there was supposed to be a tournament, and there wasn't enough people in the tournament for them to continue, and I was upset because again there was money involved, and there really wasn't money involved. You know, people think that guys that fight make all this money, and that's not true at all.
Not even in the UFC.
My first 2 fights, I lost money because I had to pay for the physical and like a bunch of other stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I was doing the math. I'm like, I'm losing money fighting.
Even with your purse, even with that's just it.
Yeah.
You're going money broke.
Yeah.
And so I was standing there and I was upset talking to my friends about how this is kind of crappy that we're not making no money tonight. And one of the guys standing there, he's like, man, I didn't know there was a kids division in this. I was like, oh. I said, well, if you could find a pair of shorts, I'd fight you. And he's like, are you for real? I said, absolutely. And he walked off and was like, I was like, oh, this is going to be on. And I ended up, again, taking him down, kneeing him as much as I possibly could. One time I took him down, I hopped on his back, and he went to stand up, and I just locked up behind his neck. And actually, we went for a ride, and we landed on my head. And I did have to see a chiropractor after that. But I did choke him out. And so
I do always think it's funny how people like come at him because he's like small. Because like we'll go have a drink somewhere together, and I'll be like, oh, this is my old coach, and they'll be like. He's like, stop telling people that I'm your coach. People are gonna want to fight me.
Yeah, God, there's a few times where the guys had too many, and I watched him look in, and the next thing you know, he's pacing. I'm like, God.
Don't even tell people you're a fighter when you go out because they immediately side.
Don't
People at bars they're immediately sizing
you
you
ever
up
been
and
famous
like,
before?
What?
You ever been famous before?
Yeah. Chuck Liddell has a bunch of stories where he's like, I just tried to go out and have a drink and nobody lets me have a drink without like trying to start a fight with me.
Well, and he looks like Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
I bet you could go to his house right now and he's got that same right now.
But
looks the same.
In his prime, people were trying to start fights with him at a bar, and I'm like, people are so stupid.
That's
people
just
are
it.
so
They're that stupid anyway, and that's with a guy that's that big and known to break people's faces, let alone a guy like me. They're looking at me like, oh, I want to test that. No, you don't. You know, like,
He just squats down a few times. He's like, I haven't done a double in a while. I'm going to shoot this double leg when he comes in.
Oh, no, because again, it's a street situation. It's not the same thing, is it? And that's another thing. People, well, you might be a cage fighter. I'm a street fighter. Oh, stop it.
Oh, I hate that. That is the most annoying. We went over that on a podcast before.
Nothing to do with MMA, but my birthday party last year, he was with me, and this girl was like, this dude here is causing problems, and I want you guys to get him out.
Oh,
so we were about to go talk to this guy, and I'm like, all right, Josh, we got this guy. And then he said something that really made me upset, and I like just slapped him, but my open hand slap knocked him out, and he like crumpled and went out. And so I was like, I feel like a dick now. So we left and we gave the guy a ride home.
It's not wrong because again, she's like, yeah, I want you to ask him to leave. So then I'm like, all right, so hey, lady here has got to say in that you're making her uncomfortable. Really, you need to leave. You know, we're all just trying to have a good time here, and nobody wants any drama. And he's like, well, she needs to tell me that. And so I'm like, all right, well, hey, would you like to let him know? And she's like, oh no, I don't have any problem. I go, for real? you
because then you look like the dummy.
Yeah.
You look like the dummy.
I said, no. Okay. With that being said, you have a good night. I'm leaving because that's not. Yeah. You're asking me to get in a fight right now.
Yeah. Maybe she just sat back with popcorn.
She did. Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Hold on a second. Did he say? This might be fun. No, I have not drank that much. I've actually been involved in this kind of shit for too long. Don't play with me.
And then Tanner comes with the Stockton slap.
Yeah, he straight up did. And he's like, listen. And the guy got then real mouthy. He's like, okay, I am sorry, guys. I need to ride home now.
Tanner, it's not a slap when you hit him with this part.
I didn't mean to. It was just it came from down here. So
The thunder cookie slap.
Oh no! If you're gonna learn how to slap, you learn from Boss Rutan. It's a fact.
But Boss Rutan cheats too. He
does the palms.
No, he does the palm.
That's 100% legal. What is cheating about
Yeah,
it?
true.
Did you call it a fingertip slap? Because that's not.
Have you seen the competitions on like the internet where now they're trying to make rules where they're like you can't do the palm. You have to do here and above.
What are you gonna videotake it and put it in slow
slow
mo?
mo,
You have to make contact with your.
It's a joke sport. It's a joke sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I saw a dude with a welt like this far out of his face, and I was just like, yeah.
Well, he broke his orbital bone. That's 100%. You gotta.
It's so bad.
If you're swole up like that, you got.
Oh, these were fingerprints on his cheek that were sticking out because they were like welted on his cheek. It was bad.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. What question are we even on? I lost.
Sorry.
No, I like going.
That's good.
I like going up on.
No, I was gonna say a little earlier. I was gonna segue, but then we had fun. So I was gonna say, like, do you plan on? Like, I know you said you want to fight again. Are there kind of plans to put that in motion? And is it gonna be cage fighting, or is it more gonna be like a grappling?
Yeah,
It's also gonna be Henry Cejudo, by the way. That's who he's fighting.
Well, so I appreciated the amateur shows that I got to be involved in, and I miss that. So I actually want to be. I want to create a show. I want to have a show here in Sioux Falls. I've been talking about it for a while. This whole COVID thing, obviously, put everybody. Glad I didn't start one right before that, to be honest.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
It's a good,
But I do want to put on a show. I want to have a quality place for local guys to be able to compete and get experience. That whole pro-am, be able to bring in and have a good show that isn't, the LFA is fantastic, but that is that step right below the UFC. Mm-hmm. And so many guys need to have competitions and fights under their belt. Where do you go? How do you do that? I think we can support it, and so I've been putting pen to paper for a while, and hopefully when everything kind of smooths out here, I want to be able to put on a show, and then I can fight for myself.
Hey,
and that's
sticking out.
You have 3 amateur fighters in this room.
he's like, all right, so I'm the main event. And it's for a belt. Did you earn that title shot? My company.
He's going up against like some.
No,
he's on his phone looking at belts.
I got a couple old guys. I got a couple old guys that still are in shape that I would think about. I got one specifically I'd like to. I don't name any names.
This is a podcast where you're supposed to name names. Who do you want?
God, that would be stinking amazing.
I know, right?
Well, because the thing too is like you were saying with LFA, it's like right before, so you always see vacant titles in LFA because you win a belt in LFA, you usually are going to the UFC.
Yeah, there's so many guys.
It's a feed-in league.
Yeah, but it would be cool to have a company where you had champions and they defended and fought, and it was a lot of people from around the tri-state area.
From the area. Yeah. That's the thing. You go to LFA, and how many guys are from here? 3 fighters on the card, maybe.
Yeah.
4.
And then again, if they win the belt, they're gone. They go to the UFC.
Right.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
And so having a good amateur show, you can. There's a lot of guys that need competitions and want fights and would and when they have something to work for, it gives them a reason to be in the gym. Mm-hmm. It'll put more guys in the gyms. It'll just promote the whole sport. I even kind of have some ideas to implement for amateur rules. I feel like guys jump in it too hard too soon, and got some ideas. I don't know. We'll.
I was at Next Edge for 3 days before I took a fight.
Really?
Yeah. I was like training with my buddy, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna go to Next Edge. I went to Next Edge. I went in there wearing my cool tap out shorts and tap out shirt that matched, and everybody made fun of me. I was there for 3 days. I told Bruce, I was like, yeah, I have a fight coming up in like 2 weeks, and he's like, no, you don't. And if you take that fight, you can't train here anymore. And I was like.
Yeah, no, Bruce.
And I went and fought.
Bruce is like that. Bruce is like, you're not ready, and I'm like. But I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do it.
Forged my mom's signature and drove out to Wyoming.
And I took that personally.
Well, and with that, that's where the whole I kind of think that amateurs, when they first start, they should have more rules. Again, the no elbows to the face, the no knees to the face.
doing
Those
elbows and knees to
things
face
are
17.
they're real sharp. They hurt real bad.
I think now they
Yours
just say
are real sharp.
I think
I
they
know
say
mine
no.
are real sharp.
Don't
That's
they?
why I know.
Don't they say no elbows or knees in general now? I thought that's the new rule.
That could be. I also have you seen those 8-ounce MMA gloves
Oh yes.
where they're
so.
much more padded,
Are those the ones that they were trying to that are
like
making?
for training?
They're not the
Okay.
finger ones. They're the ones that come down to like here.
No,
almost, like
they still
They're just
are
more
open.
padded.
They just have a pad on them that is like
You're
this.
thinking of that for amateurs?
Yes, at least for your first 4 fights, maybe even.
You just want to see more grappling. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no. I just think when you're new, also look at how many guys that get in there and they get hit like 2-3 times and they're done fighting anyway. You know, if they had maybe a little bit more padding, they might be able to get. And people get scared. You know, but they get afraid. And if you gave them a little bit more and you said, okay, 4 fights with us, showcase that you can make it. Again, I wanna set up a little bit more rules and regulation and showcase that I'm there to protect the fighters. I also, we talk about weight cuts. I don't like how you can cut so much weight. I don't like the fact that they can make weight 24 hours before a competition. I think it promotes cutting to the extremes, and that is where people get injured.
Oh, yeah.
When you dehydrate your body for
Same
so
day
long.
weigh-ins. I did same day
Oh,
weigh-ins for wrestling.
it's been a problem.
So you were
It's not
thinking of
good.
same day weigh-ins for?
Well, I even think having weigh-ins the day before, but there's a percentage of your body weight that you can gain back because they do that in boxing as well. And I want it like that.
So you weigh in the night before, then weigh in the day of, and if you're too much heavier,
Yep. Then you either give up money
And there's
or
extremes
give up BB.
when it comes to like this kind of like the rule sets, because North Dakota, they don't even have amateur fighting. You have to fight pro if you're in North Dakota. You immediately are a pro
Really?
if you fight North Dakota. Yeah. And in Wyoming, when they implemented their new commission, and I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, there's like an A, B, and C class, and like the C class is like the lowest one, and you have to wear shin guards and 16-ounce gloves and headgear. And then you move down, and then it's like, I believe it's just shin guards and then 4-ounce gloves and no headgear, and then you go down and then it's no shin guards.
Right.
And like then from there you're allowed to go pro if you want, but in Wyoming you have to like do the classes.
Levels.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's yeah.
And that makes sense.
But then yeah, like their neighbor next door is like, nope, you're a pro now. What do you want for a purse?
Right.
What do you want?
And that's where having unified rules would be great. But there is no unified rules until somebody really goes out and creates them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if I had a good track record, if I could put on an amateur show and showcase safety and showcase all of those things that I believe would come from it, I just want to put on a good show. I know all the shows that I've been involved in. I got to compete 72 times, so I've been to a few shows, you know, and I'd like to take all the good things that I've experienced and bring them to something here in Sioux Falls.
That's why I play favorites with like companies when they have fights. I play favorites because I fought for some really crappy promoters. I fought for dudes that have dipped out the back door and not paid fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like and like I go to my hotel afterwards and it's like, you don't have a room, you didn't get a hotel room booked. I'm like, okay, well I guess I'm driving back from like Sisseton tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
there's been a lot of shady stuff that
fighters are like in the smaller shows. They're really kind of abused in a lot of. I mean, and that's getting cleaned up now, hopefully. But yeah,
the commission kind of forces that to be a thing. You know what I mean? Because now if you got caught having a show without a commission,
the only place that gets away with it is the res.
You're
you could do whatever there.
You're not wrong.
I have. I was just looking at your number 6.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's yours. Or it's his.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's Mike's.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we usually ask 5 then 6.
5 and 6 are kind of like the
Interchange.
same
No,
questions.
but I think it's a great distinction because I'll ask 5 first. If you could challenge anybody in the combat world right now, who would you choose?
Well, you know, I had a buddy, and I guess it'll always stick in my mind. So of course this is what I'll say. But back when I was on my way up, I had a buddy that was talking about how Manny Pacquiao was amazing, and how if there was if you could bridge it, how he'd like to watch that and how I'd probably get knocked out in the first 2 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, you don't even know he's a bad man. But I wouldn't be boxing Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
I'd turn him over.
Yeah.
And then he would have to fight off the ground, and
It'd be actually an interesting MMA. I mean, I agree you could probably take him down, but before he was a boxer, he was actually a Thai boxer.
yeah.
So, on the feet, it would be more than just boxing.
Oh
It'd be
God, his
interesting.
footwork is sick. Oh yeah.
It would
Oh.
be interesting. But,
Oh,
I mean,
he'd hit
before
me.
you got into the floor, it could be interesting.
Right.
What
But
an exciting fight that was.
Right.
but I would have it would have been exciting 100% because he would have made it exciting on the feet, and I would have I'd like to pride myself as an exciting ground fighter. A lot of guys would get on the ground and they're kind of boring.
Yeah.
I didn't like to sit on the ground.
No.
I will say I don't think I've ever seen a fight where you just sat in somebody's guard for a while.
I couldn't do it.
I love fights on the ground if something's happening, if they're going for submissions.
Yeah,
And
you're
we've
always
talked
in
about
side
this.
control or on somebody's back.
Yeah.
Is where I always
If
end up seeing
somebody's
it.
constantly going for submissions, I'd love to watch that all day. But like in the UFC, sometimes it's just the lay and pray, and then
Right.
that's
Right.
Dana White hates that.
I hate it. I don't like this is a fight. This isn't a I can't look at it as a decision. I don't ever want to go out there and win a decision. I always want to finish the fight. Now, if I win a decision and it's a great decision, I'll be happy
Just
with
so you know,
it. But
according to Sherdog.com, under your stats, you have an 83% finish rate. Just so you know.
Oh yeah.
It said that. I was looking up some of your fights because I was looking at some of the people that you had fought, and there's like a little stat sheet, and it was like 83% finish rate, and I was like, huh, nice.
That's a good finish.
Well, I
Hard
try not to.
decisions.
I don't like them. I don't want to.
And they
I don't
seem kind
wanna-
of unrealistic in a way, because the whole point of the sport of MMA was to make the most realistic thing to fighting,
Right.
besides actual street fighting.
Right.
So it's like the next best thing.
I miss having a 10-minute first round, like Brad, you said. 10-minute first round.
Yeah, and
5-5.
that was a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit unrealistic when they pull you off each other and judges come in and they're like, well, this guy won because technically it's like okay, like I get it.
And even then, it's super opinionated.
Yeah, and there's a need for it. Like I'm not saying we get rid of judges.
Right.
I'm saying it does make it seem a little bit more unauthentic.
Yes.
Because it's supposed to be like raw fighting.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Go till you're done. For God's sakes, what do you mean? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
go. Or a guy will win the first 2 rounds, and then he's done, and that dude is just walking on him in the third, and then it's over, and you're like, oh, but
Can I get one more
oh,
Yeah.
round?
He was coming alive, man.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's happened so many times where if the fight had one more round,
Had-
or 2 more, it'd be over.
right, right.
I wish
So
we were allowed to do that. Like, just let's say the judges just get together and be like, one more?
yeah.
Yeah, I would love it.
They're a bunch of cool judges just swinging
Oh,
whiskey.
yeah,
Well,
like you were just
I
saying
did-
in your tournament.
Yeah, in
one
my
more.
tournament, we did. We actually, I was like, no. I was like, it's even, and they're like, yeah, what, who votes for Josh and who votes for Justin, and you know what? Yeah, one more, and I was like, yes. And I was like, oh, and I did. I lit up. I was like,
Super Saiyan mode.
it's mine. I swear to God, my hair stood up on my arms, and I was like, oh, I was like, I can see, because I'm standing there, and he's on his hands and knees, and I'm like, oh God, it's mine now.
It's mine.
I was like, oh, you had me by 35 pounds, and you got to beat on me for 2. Now it's my turn.
Oh, I feel it. Oh yeah, and then the next question, because you said Manny Pacquiao in MMA.
Yeah.
Now, if you could challenge anyone in the world at any competition, who and what would it be? It doesn't have to be combat related.
Could be Dana White in a game of golf.
Good. Oh,
Caleb
man.
Francis from TikTok in an arm wrestle.
like-
Loser has to be on the other one's podcast.
There you
God,
go.
that's a tough one. I didn't get a prep for this.
I like asking these questions back to back.
Putting you right on the spot.
Yeah, right. Well, because you kind of asked me if I could.
What did Josh Dyer say?
No, he went back to combat. He's like,
yeah.
I want to fight Jake Paul.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can go back to combat if you want.
Well,
I just like how Marquez was like, I want to play Alex Smith at pickleball.
you know what?
And Patrick Mahomes.
Actually, as much as he runs his mouth, I'd like to play Mayweather in some poker and take his money. I would like to take.
I like that one.
Because
That's
you
a
know
good
he'd
one.
be throwing chips on the table.
Oh,
He just-
he would be playing ultra aggressive.
Yeah.
Because
He would
that's
be losing
who
and
he
just
is.
throw some keys on the table.
Oh,
All right.
yes. I'd like to play him in poker.
I like
because
that.
I think
I
I
hate
could
to-
get right under his skin and take all
I hate
of
to
it.
be that guy and make this joke, but he probably don't know what half of the numbers on the cards are. Anyway,
Usually we say something about like a fighter and then we apologize, but we ain't apologizing for that one.
We ain't
God.
apologizing.
We'll apologize as soon as you read one whole page of a Harry Potter book out loud.
What was that one? Somebody paid Mike Tyson like $1 million to read a Harry Potter book or something like that.
Oh,
And-
no.
Or like, and it's like narrated. You can find it on the internet. Mike Tyson.
gosh.
He didn't
terrible.
get through all of it. I don't think.
That dude's making money now too, man. He's growing cannabis
so much
in the Caribbean.
Well, him and
he's doing it
they're
right.
talking about him in Holyfield again now.
Yeah.
I would like to see.
Well, they
that.
started talking about him in Holyfield again, and now James Lights Out Tony is jumping all over Instagram and Facebook. Being
Oh.
like, why? I beat both of you guys. I want to fight both of you guys. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
they all want that old person. I tell you what, though, Mike Tyson was looking good.
He
his
did
last
look-
fight.
oh, yeah.
He
He's looking
looked
good.
great.
he looked a lot better than he did at the very end of his actual career.
I thought Roy Jones was going to do better than he did.
Because Roy Jones stayed active.
Yeah.
Roy Jones has been actually boxing people.
Yeah, and he didn't box.
No.
He didn't box Mike Tyson. He just
Just
didn't
so
get
much
beat up. He
holding.
tried not to get
He
beat
tried
up.
to get now. Yeah.
But I mean,
I felt like I was
with
watching a
nobody
Klitschko
in.
fight.
So, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand what it's actually like to get hit by these guys. Because in most
I
scenarios,
don't want to know.
there's so much noise that when they're hitting each other, you don't hear it. But now with no crowd,
Oh yeah.
you're hearing them.
you hear
Dude.
what is actually happening. And
Justin
you're
Gaethje versus
oh
Tony
my
Ferguson.
God.
Oh man.
Oh, Gaethje
We,
versus Ferguson was
Gaethje
bad.
versus Ferguson was the first event of the UFC without any crowd, and we were like cringing.
Oh yeah,
We were
that's.
like,
Oh, you can hear
It was
all of it,
disgusting,
and
dude.
it's like
That was bad.
that's where people go. Wait
I
a
felt
minute,
like I was
that
watching
has to
Passion of the Christ.
hurt. Right.
I wanted
Yeah.
it to stop.
Right.
I wanted to stop.
Right.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, how many guys will sit there and watch? Oh God, that pussy getting kicked. Oh, look at him. Oh, his leg probably hurts. Oh, geez, he's weak.
I was like,
do
Kyle
you
usually
have
said this, but
any idea?
just get up.
Just
Just
get
get
up.
up.
Just get up.
Why
Just
doesn't-
just uppercut and knock him out. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Honey, why doesn't he just get up?
I love that.
He's on the ground. We should just stand up. He was doing much better when he was standing
I
up.
love when people,
Or-
when people
or the-
who
or
have
the
never been in a
famous-
fight say
Was
something
it me
like
and you?
Grab his
Yes,
dick
I
and
was sitting right.
twist.
I was
that.
sitting
Oh,
right
we were in an
behind
LFA.
Blake.
We were at an LFA fight, and there was this.
And there was this person sitting in front of you, and I was sitting in the row behind you, and you were
Yeah.
cornering somebody, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dude was, a little tipsy, and he was like, "Get up!"
Yeah,
just screaming at
get
the top of his
up.
lungs, "Get up, dude!"
For the rest of the fight, Kyle just yelled, "Why doesn't he just get up?"
Just right behind him in his ear, just like, "Get up, dude!
Why doesn't he just?
Why doesn't
knock
this
him
guy
out?
just get up?"
Just knock him out? It's so
Just a
easy.
200-pound dude keeping him down, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why.
just so easy.
Oh
It's
my
just
God.
so easy to stand up.
I
Why
love
doesn't
the
he just
drunk
knock him
crowd.
out?
Drunk crowd is so dumb.
I feel like he's so good at getting up, though, he's allowed to say, just get up. I can do it.
I can do it.
I've never been able to hold him down for more than 10 seconds.
we actually drilled that. Like,
Yeah.
all right, so your whole purpose is to get out from underneath of the person on top. Person on top is just keeping you down, ready, go.
Nope,
if you
wasn't
don't
fun.
succeed, you got push-ups. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing here. Ready, go.
Go.
And it's not as easy
It's
as
that.
Oh, I think my mom's calling me, actually. I gotta
Get
leave
out of
the
here.
gym for now. It's pretty important. It's pretty important that I don't do this exercise.
It's like me at Next Edge. It's like we're doing like Thai boxing and like sparring, and it's like, all right, we're gonna do 5-minute rounds grappling, and I was like, I gotta go.
I got vacuumed the cat.
Oh, what? We're done with the fun stuff?
I told my girlfriend we'd watch a movie
Got
tonight.
chores. I won't be able to come back tomorrow if I don't do
so
them.
my ride left, and it's gonna take me an hour to get home.
So fun fact, actually, this actually happened. My ex used to like come to Next Edge with me, and like she would watch us grapple, and I was like, I gotta go. Like she's got stuff to do. Complete excuse because I didn't want to grapple. And he was like, why don't you guys both, stay and grapple each other? And she was like, that sounds like fun. So I ended up having to stay and grapple other people, and she grappled with like Shayna. And, like, other people.
Yeah, just
And
some ladies that they were
I'm like
being
dead. I'm
nice
like,
to.
I hate this. I didn't want to do this, but she was all about it. So we left, and I looked at her like, I'll never forgive you for that.
I'll never forgive you.
Like you knew I was making an excuse too.
I wanted to leave. You felt good.
Yeah, I always feel good after some grappling.
Can we get Joe to get rid of that striker versus wrestler exercise?
That works.
It's good, dude.
Does
It's
it, or
good.
does the wrestler just get popped in the face every 5
Get
seconds?
punched in the
You have
face.
to go for nothing but takedowns. You do the
So
stretch.
yeah,
ready
yeah,
to go.
when we're MMA, the guy who usually trains us, you have the striker versus the grappler, and the grappler is just getting lit up because the grappler's not allowed to punch.
Oh, okay.
But then the striker's not allowed to do takedowns, just takedown defense.
Well, I will say this. After you get punched a few times, instead of leading with your face, you learn how to.
Yeah,
but that's what
you slip a little
you
more.
learn how to slip a little bit.
Yeah,
you
true.
know, I mean,
True.
There's strategy to this.
You get a little bit
Joe
more
also-
mobile. You're like,
Joe also likes to learn early who can take a punch, because some people cannot take a punch. Some people
Right.
really want to be fighters, and then they take that first punch to the face, and they're like, "This isn't for me."
Yeah.
And that was Colin. I love Colin to death, but you whacked him in the face, and he's like, "I'm done," and I'm like, "That's it."
That Tyler thing that we used to
I
spar
didn't
with,
whack him in the face. He
at
slipped
Tiger?
into my uppercut.
Yeah.
Boom.
I found like
True,
early on sparring with
true.
him that I shouldn't hit him very hard, so I started just like putting my hands down and just being like, I would just slip his punches.
He's a
and then
priest.
I know, but I punched him. I punched him in the face.
God.
I punched him in the face twice, and he like kind of like started running for me, and I was like, okay, well,
That's four Hail
don't
Marys.
spar with him like that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of put my hands down, and I would just let him throw punches at me, and I would just slip him, and then I hit him in the stomach a couple times, and that's how I started sparring with him, because I was like, I gained nothing from just lighting this dude up right now.
Wow. It's not, you do need to learn early who you're training with who cannot take a punch to the face. And then eventually you have to pull those people aside and say, hey, you probably don't want to sign up for this fight that you just signed up for, because I know that you can't.
This dude's gonna punch you in the face.
This dude's going to punch you in the
Hard.
face a lot. And
That was where when I went to Premier Combat Center, when you were in team sparring, if you didn't want to get punched in the face, you don't spar then. Because that's not a
Right.
It's not a
Basically,
you'll
a
make
Shuto
it
Box Junior for a gym, because we're
It
sparring.
really was. Oh
We're
god,
sparring, yeah.
We're
I
sparring.
mean,
there was a few guys. There were a few
like
guys
it.
that if they were there, it was on. Everybody in there was on because oh no, it's a light day today. No, it's not.
No,
it's
it's
5 seconds it is, asshole.
Right.
You know damn right.
I like getting punched in the face. I love getting punched in the not like getting knocked
Yeah.
out.
No, just like a little
But
bit.
when you
a little
slip,
bit.
when you slip the wrong way and somebody catches you with a good one and everything's just tingly and you're like, oh, okay, here we go.
So your
Like,
endorphins kick in.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Like,
real
okay.
real chemistry here.
I'm
You hear
happy.
that tink of your dick hitting your cup? Oh, you're ready.
Also,
to go.
there's no better adrenaline than when somebody in your gym gets red lighted. You know what that is, right? What red
knocked out.
Well, red lighting means you got a gym bully or something.
Oh,
Bruce,
yeah.
Bruce
Oh,
would do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Bruce would do it, and
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
Garcia would do it, where they're like, this guy's bullying people. He's
Yep.
just like he's grappling with the 100-pound girls
Right.
and beating them up.
Right.
And then there's like, so this guy's red lighted for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So Bruce would,
Oh, yeah.
and I wasn't in the inner circle, but Bruce would gather his inner
Uh-huh.
circle and be like,
Uh-huh.
this guy's red lighted, and
Yep.
then everyone would roll with him. Everyone would
Yep.
spar with him and just
Yep.
destroy. And
Absolutely.
Nothing
'Cause
gets me happier than watching that.
I agree 100% because you got these guys that'll come in that just think they're the cock of the walk, and then as soon as they start doing something, they're like, "Oh, I really don't want to do this, so I'm gonna go over here," and you're like, "Oh no," because we want them. Everybody,
Yeah.
we're here to train.
Yeah.
We're not here to just beat people up. If that's
Their
what you're
skill
coming to
level-
the gym
Yeah.
for, then you're here for the wrong.
They want to be
thing.
the hammer. They never want to be the nail.
They never want to.
You
be
have to be the nail. I've been the nail so much.
It's the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big slow dude. Like I'm gonna get punched in the face a
Yeah.
lot. Like Trayvon's gonna punch me in the face 50 times. It's gonna happen. It's like, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But-
It makes my nose itch.
But imagine, especially a guy your size. You go to a gym. Say you're traveling. You go to Kansas City. You go into sparring practice, and you skip over to the dudes that are $155 and lower.
Yeah.
The guys in the gym would be like, "Hey,
Excuse me.
you, no,
Get back
Dude.
with the
no,
heavyweights.
no,
Dude,
You
you're
know,
like 300 pounds.
and-
Get over here.
And do you know how many guys do that? It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you doing? And then especially if they hurt somebody. Oh
Yeah.
God. Then is the moment that somebody is hurt and leaving. Then you're like, oh. Then everybody.
Bruce had that with one of his one of the
yeah.
100-pound girls got hurt rolling with like a. I don't know if he was a gym bully. Pretty sure he got red lighted for that.
Well,
But
happens. Absolutely.
But then Bruce pulled him aside and was just like, hey, like, I heard this story secondhand. I wasn't there, but he was like, hey, what we all just did to you, that's what you were doing to that girl.
Right.
So if you're going to keep doing this, we're going to keep doing this to you, or you need to get out of the gym if you're actually a gym bully.
Right. Yeah.
Because he just, I don't know if he red
Now
lights.
I'm mad.
I don't know if he red
Ben
lights.
Lynn broke my nose my first day of training ever.
Okay, but when a guy half your size hurts you,
That's true. That's true. But it was
come
Ben.
on.
And at the time I was like 165. So how dare he?
From what I know, Bruce doesn't even red light people anymore. He just kicks them out now. He's just
Sure.
like because there's liability.
It makes
sense.
There's
There's
like legal
It's
liability.
not the Wild West anymore.
But Joe Garcia doesn't care.
Well,
Our
well,
training camps are the Wild West.
Well, and honestly, everybody's got a recording device on them,
Yes.
and you don't necessarily know when somebody's using it, and you can cut image. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can make things look real nasty, real fast, and
Right.
and
Like
nobody.
McGregor posting that picture of when he dropped Paulie Malignaggi.
Dude, I
That's not
actually
how the
believe,
sparring session went. I got a picture that says I knocked you down.
I actually believe that Conor McGregor won those sparring sessions.
I believe he did too. I don't like
Because
Paulie that much.
you saw Paulie go and box Artem Lobov and lose.
Yeah.
Like
But you mean
that was
the
kind of
goat?
embarrassing for
The
boxing.
GOAT, Artem Lobov.
That was kind of embarrassing for boxing, though. A journeyman with a negative record beat the multiple weight world champion in boxing.
Yeah.
That was a dark day for boxing. That was a dark day.
But again, guys still have punches chances. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the guys that are in there that are.
But it was a
veterans
decision.
Like that,
It was a decision. You know.
You're, yeah.
So I have one more
Yeah.
question. I don't know if you guys have any more, but I have one
Nope,
final
we're
one.
good. Let it out.
Yeah.
What is one loss that you had that you don't think you should have had, or it's like one that you just want back?
Oh my God! I fought Tim Elliott.
Oh,
You
Tim
did. You did fight Tim Elliott.
So
I know that name.
So what happened was we came out and we touched gloves, and he backed up and he threw a spinning back kick. He missed, his heel grazed off of my hip, and as he came through, his foot is here, and I'm like, oh my God, you are facing the other direction within 30 seconds, and if I can land this right hand right now, oh my God, here we go. And I swung, and as he stepped, he came through, and his elbow hit my temple as I stepped in, and a fairy wand went ding, and I just went to my knee, and I went, wait. I actually go, wait a second. Like, and they looked at me there, and I remember very distinct. I was like, wait a second. And I remember looking up, and they both kind of looked at me, and Tim grabbed me, and the way he like curled up on me, you couldn't tell, like, because I was like almost fighting it, but I went to sleep, and you didn't know I was sleeping, so he held me there for quite a while. So I dreamed lots of dreams. And that was one of those turning. There was that one, and Dustin, when I fought for Tachi Palace, Dustin Ortiz.
Oh yeah.
I was winning that fight. It was actually I've tried to find it. It's an amazing one. If you guys can ever find it somehow, it's a really good fight. I was winning round 1, round 2. I dropped him with a knee. I stepped away because he melted out of my hands, and he like woke up, and he got a shot of adrenaline, came back hard, and ended up catching me, almost put me down to a knee, hurting me in the second round, and then third round he was putting it on me, and he caught me with a 2, put me to my knee, ran over top of me, and I went to flip him over. The doctor got scared and threw a pen at the referee. The doctor did. And as I'm rolling him over, the referee sees this pen comes in, thinking somebody's telling him to stop the fight. He stops the fight. There's 28 seconds left in the round. I'm coming on top of him. I won round 1, dropped him in round 2. So I won both rounds with a knockdown. He was winning round 3, which again, if we fought to the end, we probably would have gotten it. But either way, this was like he fought in the UFC a month and a half after this. Mm-hmm. And so if I would have won this fight, so they stopped the fight, and I go, for what? And the referee goes, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? You're the one stopping this fight. I didn't stop the fight. I'm on top of him, and there's 28 seconds left. Like, did you want me to say? No, somebody, who did? Because it wasn't my corner. Josh, was it you? And as he's like, what did you just do? As he's yelling at the doctor, and the doctor's like, this, I was so... Oh, our post-fight physical was real nice. As he's checking me over, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. I still am fine.
I've been fine all night.
But those were 2 fights where I was on that. I could have. But I
This is a
didn't.
little fun fact. I don't know. I'm sure you know your opponents and what happened to some of them afterwards. But did you know almost every single one of your losses went either to Bellator or UFC afterwards?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like I think it's like 9 out of 12 went to UFC, and like 2 of the other ones went to Bellator.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was ranked top 10 in the world 2 different times. I mean, I didn't want to fight. Again, I wanted exciting fights. I wanted to test myself.
Not like Floyd Mayweather.
Padding
the record to 50-0.
Didn't happen. Don't get me wrong. Some of my early AMI fights were gimmies, but
You think
not
you
because I didn't
Well, that's how
want
it's supposed to
Do you think you would have went a little bit further if you hadn't taken so many fights, like at 135, 145 early on?
I mean, to be honest, I think I got in my own head. There wasn't enough money. I had 2 children. I got a divorce, and I was too hard on myself, and I didn't take it quite. I mean, I was right there, right? And I think that if I would have been a little bit more serious on myself, then those little things that I didn't quite get, I believe that I would have. Because again, it's my destiny. I'm the one that didn't quite get there, but I still had a great career. I enjoyed every bit of it.
I like the flying knees.
Yeah.
They were fun. I did a lot of damage with my knees.
You're still doing it.
I live rent free in your head, don't I?
Yes. I still haven't wrote that book that I said I was going to write. Things That Hurt, Josh Rave.
Things that hurt.
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Chapter 1.
So you
Josh
see how you're
Rave.
doing this move. Now we can make it hurt.
This is where this started too. Is we were in the gym one day and he was showing us a submission from side control. And he was like, "You do it like this, you can finish it easy, right?" Yeah, cool. He goes, "But if you go like this and you dig your knee," and he stuck his knee in either mine or your like armpit rib area, and we were like, "Ow, ow, ow!" I was like, "You could do that," and I was like, "Okay, got it."
So
Noted.
Very very specifically, we were doing a head and arm choke.
Oh yeah. That's what it was.
So we're in a head and arm choke, and you can squeeze all you want to, but to get the extra leverage, I'm gonna stick my knee up in your side, and now I'm driving with my knee as I'm pulling and squeezing. That way, it's all of it. Now I'm a very small person, so I got to get my knees up in there to squeeze all.
Yeah,
that.
we're allowed to do that to you heavyweights, you
Yeah.
babies. No, I'm just kidding. But you can't do it to us because I'll cry.
Oh, it's actually funny because then he would try to do it to me as he's like lifting his knee up, he's like at my hip, and I'm like, oh, I mean,
Too big.
you know,
This is why I have PTSD.
you don't need your knee, okay? You just need to squeeze me. And
Yeah.
all right. He's like, but I can't get it any tighter. I'm like, yeah, no, you're all right.
You're
Well,
fine.
then we're gonna work on some different moves for you. Brute strength. All right, let's go.
Brute strength submissions.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
You and your Kimuras.
Yeah, dick.
Eye contact, and Kimura.
Eye contact and Kimura.
I live in his head rent free too.
Yeah, he does.
I tell you what, I'd watch everything Josh Barnett. Like,
Catch
Yeah.
wrestling. Catch
Yeah.
wrestling.
for real, because he's a big dude. He knows how to work it.
Because I do everything
What-
except
wasn't he
stop
coming back?
a single leg high cross from Daniel Cormier.
You're not wrong.
Did he come back and then he got popped for a drug?
Yeah.
Oh, did he get popped again?
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
he got beat too, didn't he?
yeah, but I
It's like
think
Bigfoot Silva beat him or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Well, once he stopped taking the performance enhancers.
You could tell.
Yeah.
You could certainly tell.
Well, it's when someone lives on him for so long, and
Yeah.
again, once it's you believe. You believe that you need them. You know, somebody believes that they need something, or they believe that, even though everybody takes all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
But when you get older, you know, some of those guys look at Shamrock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that it got to the point where he believed he needed it.
Yeah.
He used to believe that he was the baddest man on the planet, and he was actually.
For a little
Ken
bit.
Shamrock
Yeah. For a little bit.
for a point in time there.
He was.
That dude was scary back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, tell him go till you're done. Okay.
Somebody told me, when Hoist Gracie used to be the baddest man on the planet, I found it interesting. I was listening to a podcast. He was technically the first ever heavyweight champion at 150 pounds or whatever he weighed.
In the UFC.
Yeah.
Well, because there was no weight classes, so he was the heavyweight champion.
He wasn't technically the heavyweight champ. He was the tournament.
He was the tournament winner.
But if you think about it, if there is no weight class, it's heavyweight.
It is.
Technically.
Yeah, it's an open weight
So he was technically a heavyweight champ at 150, or open weight, whatever you want to call it.
It's kind of like the old Pride, Henzo.
Vanderlei and Hendo all fought basically heavyweights.
Or Hickson Gracie. Again, he probably weighed.
Wasn't Hickson the best of the Gracies?
Yes, I mean as far he was the first. He was the one.
That's what the lore says.
Yeah, he was like 400-0.
They were all,
they would actually they had an open challenge. If anybody wanted to fight. Which they said to the death. I haven't heard anything about it, but you never know.
The bodies were just
people
down.
May have disappeared.
The Portuguese translation gets a little messed up.
But they did. Supposedly it was 400-0, and I can't say that he wasn't.
Well, yeah, because when Hoist Gracie won UFC, he won the UFC tournament, and then the Gracie family came out and said, no disrespect, but he's probably the worst one of all of us.
Yeah, he's just the one we sent up there.
He's the noob that we sent up there to show you guys, and he's like,
All I know is none of them want to see Kazushi Sakuraba.
Wasn't he the Gracie killer?
The Gracie killer.
Wasn't he?
He was fun to watch.
He's so. I love Kazushi Sakuraba. Probably like. I know Vanderlei kind of built Pride, like some of those big, like Crow Cop and Vanderlei, some of the, but dude, Kazushi Sakuraba, he built that dude.
He did.
His fights with Hoist Gracie, one of them went like an hour and 15 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah, I can't even.
One of their fights went an hour and 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can go home and do your laundry and come back, and then the fight's still going. You're like, no.
All right.
I suppose, guys.
Was that all of our questions?
I think so.
That's about it.
Oh, I eat purple belts for breakfast.
Quote by Tanner Else.
I never said that.
I put that in.
Especially now that we talked about his knee and the arm stuff.
Yeah, I'll get sued for
Or I think you liked the side control elbow to the ribs when I did grab your arm. Get into side control, go underneath that arm.
Nope.
Like, you can hang on to it, or
put
that right there.
Oh man, that's fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's so fun. So, hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
It's we can get a little lost.
Yeah. Usually it's like this. But with you, it was like we just started talking. It was like, oh, we're way over here now.
Yeah, I apologize.
We like it.
Apologize, man. No, that's the way that we like
we
this
wouldn't
to
have
go.
we wouldn't have a podcast if we didn't go off on tangents.
Right.
All right, guys. Remember, if you go to Facebook and search Velocity Entertainment, you can find this show and the standard nerdy version of us
Coming up
soon. Thanks to Josh again for coming on and chatting with us for a while. It's real fun. We'll be back next week. We're not gonna make picks this week. This card's kind of lackluster. So,
I was gonna try to get Kyle the boxer on next week.
Right on.
I'll see what he's doing.
Another striker. All right.
Another striker. Those darn strikers want to get on the podcast. Ugh. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Thanks again to everybody who watched. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Michael and Tanner. We'll go see you guys next week.